What's up, Broods and Brudettes? It's the Pico Dudes. I'm Sam Rackert, and with me, the man who I think is part gremlin, it's Jeremy Hidalgo.
Part gremlin.
Part gremlin.
Is that because this is like the
Seventh.
40th
This
time?
is our seventh attempt at recording this podcast.
It's more than that because our actual sixth attempt included multiple attempts of like recording in short segments.
So that's a peek behind the curtain. We have had some technology issues, but a new hard drive later and a lot of beer.
Mm-hmm.
We were so proud of ourselves, folks. We've taken your input. We showed up sober at 10 a.m. to record a beer pod. First morning beer podcast ever, by the way, of which it's not almost morning anymore. And we were going to be so on point and keep it together and not fall off the rails, right?
We were.
Now we have tried to record this, and not by try like we hit the button, it didn't work. Like we got like 20 minutes in.
So we have had some challenges technology wise. I replaced the hard drive on my 2011 MacBook Pro, which
it's a dinosaur.
It was brilliant initially, and then it started freezing, and then it started freezing more, and then it started freezing even more. And you guys don't want to hear about my whining about my damn computer, so we're going to talk about beer.
This is just your warning sign, though, because normally firsties is besties.
Yeah, we're totally sober. We don't say stupid juvenile stuff. But you know what? It's been a morning. We've had some beer, and there's so no guarantees.
Beer. Yeah, so we'll try and keep it together as we start today with our first beer. And what did you make up for us today?
I made the Two Fellas Lake Michigan IPA. So this is one of the two PicoPaks that PicoBrew had on their special.
2 packs.
It was this and the Cinder Block, or the Populux Cinder Block Cascadian Dark IPA, something like that, dark lager. It's been 7 tries, folks. It's the Populux Cinder Block. I'm staring at the label that's posted to the wall right over there.
Oh, you're right. And we still can't get this right, can we?
Well, it doesn't say anything other than Cinder Block, so we'll go with that. It's the Cinder Block. You know what? We have a review. If you want to see how we felt about that one, go listen to it.
I think it's a dark ale. It's a CDA.
A CDA? Cascadian Dark Ale?
Dark
Okay.
Ale.
All right, cool. We'll go with that.
We'll go with that. All right.
All right.
So you've made up...
this one's an LM IPA.
LM, such a famous... the LMs. Everyone loves those.
Yes. Of the Lake Michigan IPAs.
Lake Michigan IPA. So this is really just two fellas naming their beer after their motherland, if you will. This is their ancestral homeland, as they claim.
Yes, and it's an American IPA. More traditional IPA. It's not of some of the new styles that are coming out where they're more tropical,
it's
more
not
citrusy.
a West Coast IPA at all.
Yeah, no, definitely. Although I keep comparing it to one that is actually a West Coast IPA, which is a Sierra Nevada.
No. Where's that made?
Sierra Nevada.
Where's that?
California.
Damn it! I thought it was in Nevada.
No.
By the Sierras.
Well, it is. I mean, I guess it's a California brewery.
Yeah. Okay. But yes, it has a very much a traditional, but that's still a very traditional IPA.
Yes.
It's that, it's those good old Cascade and Centennial and, good old normal American hops.
All your standby hops.
All your standby, your go-tos.
Yeah. Traditional,
it's
some
traditional.
might say.
We've come full circle. This is the Norman Rockwell of hops. No, I don't want to do that yet.
No. Are we going to do that? Okay.
And
we're going to get confused on our references here because we've gone through several iterations of this episode.
Apologize because we may either repeat ourselves or skip entire segments because we think we've already said something, and so we're going to refer to something you've never heard.
At some point, we should just stop this one, review the beer super quick, apologize to our listeners, tell Apple that they need to sponsor us. Speaking of sponsors, the horrible segue, or maybe not so horrible, but we are pouring this beer today out of a tap room. Taproom.club. So we did go into sort of a partnership with Quechu Trevino. And
we love you, Quechu.
And he is the inventor of the tap room. You can find those at taproom.club.
We actually had a great meeting with him episodes ago, way back in the.
We did an interview with him, talked a little bit about it. We've
It
got
was
some more.
horrible, so we're gonna get him back on with real microphones.
Yes, and a computer that works.
And by horrible, I meant the technology wasn't up to standard yet. We're still improving. We're still working on it.
Hey, this is all new to us, just like brewing. We hope to get better at it as we go along. And so, anyways, we've got the tap room, and even Sam, I think, is going to start brewing his beers. The one thing we like about the tap room is, you know what? I brewed these in my brew kegs, and then I cold crashed them for a couple days, and then I racked them into my serving kegs. The useless Pico serving keg.
It's one of the things we love about the tap room.
Yeah, because you can take the Pico serving keg and you can connect it to the tap room, and you can serve directly out of that with an actual faucet and the whole 9 yards, and it's super good, super professional. I have a much easier time doing the forced carbonation in there. It doesn't spew beer all over my kitchen and get my wife upset with me for weeks.
That's two of the best things about this is one, the forced carbonation is super dialed in, and it makes it way easier to do. Mm-hmm. But the really neat thing for me, and the thing that makes these serving kegs, which you can get almost free now because no one wants to use them anymore, because you use that serving keg and you pour a little beer for yourself one night. I hope you're drinking it all in 24 hours. And that's 5 liters of beer.
They get oxidized, and the pour spouts is kind of weak.
The little red plastic pieces bust on it.
They look cool though. If you roll into a party and you're carrying one of those, especially with the label on it, like people are like, that's sweet. And then you're like, hey, I brewed this. And they're like, oh, that's even cooler. But you know what? Throw a tap room on it, a beer faucet and the whole 9 yards, and dude, now you're a rock star. And then if you only have you pull a glass off of it, you can set that thing aside for a few days and come back to it, and you're still going to have good beer. Yeah. And that's, I think, like we're going to do today. I don't know if there's beer left in this because we've been drinking it for 7 episodes, but we're going to pull that off. We're going to do another episode, and this will still be good to throw back on in a day or two or whenever. Yeah, there's also multiple types of containers you can pull this out of. Your ball lock kegs, you can...
your serving vessels?
Your serving kegs. You can put growlers on it. There's a lot of different options. So anyways, go to taproom.club, check it out. We're actually going to be running a promotion here pretty soon. That's going to be sort of a Pico Dudes / tap room promotion where you could win yourself a free tap room and a couple of Pico packs.
My favorite price.
Yeah. So look for details on that coming out soon.
Keep listening.
And
stick with us, folks.
Yeah. And so now we're going to get into this beer, this Lake Michigan IPA from the Two Fellas Brewery.
Two Fellas that are now in Berlin, no longer in Lake Michigan.
Okay.
They're in Berlin. They've got the Two Fellas Brewery. And if you see them on the brew marketplace, it's pretty recognizable because all their labels kind of have those silhouettes of those two bearded dudes.
Yeah.
And so I've gotten used to seeing it. This is the first time I think we've brewed one of their packs, but they've got a couple others, and I think we're going to give them a try.
Yeah, I think so. And this one's turned out. So the funny thing is about that silhouette with the beard. So I don't know about you guys, but if I brewed multiple batches when I did this one. So I did this one and Tractor Brewing's Milk Mustachio, which we're going to review later. And then also did the Pike Brewing Monk's Uncle at the same time.
Well, I'll be a Monk's Uncle.
And so because I did so many of the Pico packs at the same time, they come with those weird triangle boxes that have your yeast packet in it, as well as your carbonation sugar and any dry hops that you might be using. So for this one, because I'm a dork, I actually scribbled on the silhouettes of the beard so I'd know which one to have later on for just to keep track, because I keep those boxes until I've added the dry hops.
Oh, I do too. I just take the label and shove it in like a U shape in each box so I know.
Oh, that's probably a lot easier. But I scribbled the beard on the front, so I knew
that little white triangle box.
Yep, so I knew exactly what it was. If I still have it, maybe I'll post the picture on here. Anyways,
what your skills look like.
Just so people know I'm not making crap up.
No, I thought it was a great story.
I'm making beer up though.
So you made this beer up. Do you want to run us down how you ferment this? Pardon me.
Yeah.
It is before noon.
It is still before noon. We did start at 10:30. We started this off going, we're drinking at 10:30, and it's
or 10.
Well, yeah.
And it's going to turn noon in a second. So I'm sorry about that. But tell me about how you produced this beer, because you did a few batches at once, you said, and how you fermented it.
Yeah, so recipe is 100% like it shows up. I didn't make any adjustments on the PicoBrew, no ABVs up, no IBUs up or down or anything like that. I used a supplied yeast packet. I fermented it fast fermentation style in a brew bag that I have, along with 2 other beers. Like I said, the Milk Mustachio and the Monk's Uncle. And I had the Pico Firm on the Milk Mustachio. So I tracked the temperature using that one. So I know the temperature didn't vary between 69 and 71, kept consistent. We had great weather here through the fermentation period here in Seattle. And so fermentation I left it on a couple extra days. Once the Pico Firm said it was done, I did use Brew Pulse to track the fermentation in all 3 of those brews. Even if you don't have a Pico Firm on there, you can still track the fermentation time by going in and manually entering the temperature, which I did. And so usually, as per sort of Mike Brennan's suggestion, Mike Brennan with PicoBrew, he suggests leaving it on 2 or 3 days once you've finished fermentation, or the software tells you it's done.
Yes.
So I did. And then I cold crashed it for a couple of days and force carbonated it. And here we are drinking it out of the tap room, and the carbonation is on point. The foam is great, and for some reason on your glass it is sticking all over the place.
Beautiful sticky foam. It looks like a beautiful painting of what a beer should look like.
Yes. If Norman Rockwell was going to paint it.
Go down that road again. Zombie Norman Rockwell. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any artists out there. I'd love to see a zombie Norman Rockwell.
Oh, wait. Do you want to see a painting of zombie Norman Rockwell? Or do you want to see a painting as if zombie Norman Rockwell painted it?
I kind of want to see a painting of zombie Norman Rockwell.
That actually sounds pretty cool. Painting a painting.
Painting a painting of this perfect beer.
So any artists out there, pull all that off.
Because we have such a
We'll
vast
send you a
array
free
of
PicoPak.
Yeah. There you go. We'll do that.
Absolutely. So we've got this beer. What are our stats on this? Do you remember, or do you want me to throw something out?
I do remember. The SRM is, Sammy boy, do you know?
6. Oh, the SRM.
The SRMs. I threw you for a loop there.
I do, and I know because I'd already written down, but it is an 11. And you know what I really love about doing this podcast?
What?
I've learned so much.
You have?
I have. I was in a brewery, so I've been... we're doing this in the morning, and I drove in from Chelan this morning, so it was really early morning. But I spent some time at Walla Walla. I spent some time in Chelan, and I've been out doing wine tasting for quite a while, and have greatly enjoyed it. But I had to stop by our brewery and get my brew on.
Yeah.
And the saddest thing happened. I'm in this brewery, and I'm drinking my beer, and a bunch of people come in. Obviously, they were out doing wine tasting. They come in, they decide they want to have lunch and a beer. So they ask the gal, because it's got listed up there, all the beers with the IBUs and SRMs. They're like, what's the SRM? And she's like, well, I think that has to do with how many hops are in it. Like,
no.
Well, what's the IBU? Oh, that's a measure of, and I what was great is I could come up and go, well,
how much I belch up.
Here's a standard reference method, and that's really got to do with the color, and it's a standard method for determining color in a scale that's used, and the IBUs, the international bittering units, and how that's determined. And suddenly I was the beer expert, and I have all these people gathered around as I explained all the beers that were on the wall.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
And they were like, well, I like this kind of beer. I'm like, well, you know what? And she's just pulling tastes off the tap and listening, and it turns out it was her second day. And she'd never worked in the industry before, and she was the only one working behind the bar there.
Dude,
so,
that's super cool, though.
I had a lot of fun. I felt like a little
beer aficionado.
Beer aficionado, and I knew none of those things when we started this 6 months ago. So
we've come a little ways since our smells and tastes like beer.
Yeah,
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. So SRM of 11 on this, and it's a nice golden color, very IPA, a little darker than a couple of the other IPAs we've seen. We've had a lot of beers lately in that 4 to 8 range probably.
Yeah.
But this is a great looking beer, as we were saying. It looks like it's come right out of a painting. This is what a beer should look like, and I think a lot of that, the tap room, perfect amount of carbonation in it. And you don't get a lot of the extra left behinds from
No.
doing your natural carbonation like I do, because that still produces more yuck.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot less opportunities to introduce contaminants, right? Which I think is something that you've had a little bit of challenge
I've struggled with that a lot.
Yeah. So when you're bottling, obviously bottles are hard to clean. Not that the serving kegs are super easy, but I use I'll go
You
in
can
and
go hard on those though.
I clean them out pretty well, and I use like the little the keg cleaning tablets and
tabs,
stuff. And so I'll do that and then sanitize them right before I put beer in them, and then we're putting the CO2 in there and keeping all the oxygen out. They're there's no light or anything.
You're
so that helps.
introducing way less stuff. And I've had light struck beers. I've had contaminated beers, either from the vessel itself or from the lid.
Yeah.
Finding stuff growing up under the rubber grommets. Or, there's all sorts of ways. Or just adding when you're adding in that sugar. It's an extra opportunity between the package, the funnel, everything to introduce some extra into it. So racking it straight from your brew keg into the serving keg is probably the safest way to make sure that you don't have something introduced, as long as you're keeping your stuff
and with the tap room too, you can actually purge, not purge.
Whoa.
Well, you can purge. So what you can do
I
is
thought you could do that for 24 hours a year.
No, you could preload your keg with CO2. So you can open up the valve, shoot some CO2 in the keg, so that there's a layer of CO2. So your beer, when it's coming in from your
it's not even getting oxidized then.
Not even
it's
getting
just
oxidized.
displacing the CO2 instead of oxygen. That's pretty incredible, because the other thing I worry about is when I do my transfer from my brewing keg into my fermentation vessel, I'm just pouring beer out in the open air, and again, that's an opportunity to introduce some extra contaminants. The more different vessels you use is always an opportunity to introduce contaminants. So this is the minimum amount of vessels, the minimum amount of exposure to anything. And so far, we've gotten some really good beers out of doing this. So
yeah, I agree. I think and we're a lot more consistent. So this beer in particular has come out, and it tastes, I think I mentioned before, it's more like a Sierra Nevada.
Yep. I think we mentioned that about 7 times.
Yeah. But I think in this podcast, maybe only once.
Just
before.
once.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's got, so we're not going to try and make this sound like it happened off the cuff, because we've talked about it a couple of times, but it smells like if you open a box of Cheerios and you get that fresh wafting of the Cheerio weedy kind of oat and grain cereal smell in your face, and then what hits your nose right after that?
Well, see, the best part is those Cheerios. They used to come with that prize. Cereal used to come with a prize. It's the best part of cereal.
Yeah, like Cracker Jacks.
I remember opening Fruity Pebbles and digging my hand all the way to the bottom of the box to pull out the prize, and getting in trouble for it because my sister at the time was all mad because, you're supposed to pour, and if it falls in your bowl, you win. I'm like, nope. I would open the cereal, take the prize out, close the cereal back up without even pouring any out.
I hope you washed your hands first.
Nope. 8-year-old little boy, those hands are probably the gross and disgusting. So
and that was before, because after that, I think the prizes come between the
between the bag and the box. No, it was in the cereal.
It used to be in the cereal, just like a box of
At
Cracker
one point,
Jacks.
I don't even think it was wrapped.
Yeah, it was
This
just
is your secret decoder ring. You could accidentally eat it.
when it was slime. You hated life.
Oh, jeez. But it felt like there was a prize, and that prize was a little bag of hops.
Yeah,
and it was a little, a vented bag of hops, and so that's what you get. You get that wheat up front, but then you're like, whoa, that after hop hit, and it's not overly strong, but it is enough that you're not just drinking a wheat beer. It's enough to add. Your IBUs on this are 56.
Yeah, it's a fairly high IBU beer, and it tastes like it. I mean, it's not super high, but
it doesn't give me the bitter beer face though, and I don't like bitter beers.
No, but you can taste the bittering hops. That's
Yes,
a very
absolutely.
prominent taste in this beer.
My tolerance level must have just gone up.
When you taste it, you get for sure, you get that initial weedy flavor, and then the bittering hops follow right in after that.
Wheaty flavor, yes.
Wheaty, yes, not weedy,
because we've had
no
wheaty
contaminants
also.
in this one.
Yeah. Wheat, lots of wheat, and then that hop. And not a whole lot else, though.
No.
Wheat and hop.
But good. I mean...
And that's Cascade and Centennial on the hops, pretty traditional hops. I know Annie, who's gone to Germany and helped out in the brewery with the Two Fellas, Annie from PicoBrew. Those are two of her favorite hops. Again, it's very traditional. Just a straightforward traditional IPA. Here you go.
Yeah. And
just like Sierra Nevadas. They don't do anything crazy. That's one of the most popular IPAs made in the world.
Yeah. I think you'll find if you order this PicoPak, whether it's on special or you pay full price, I think you'll find that it's enjoyable, and it's one that I would order again, and I think maybe try a couple maybe different yeasts to ferment.
That would be
with.
really. So this is now that you've done it. I don't know if you know what yeast came in this, but I'm guessing this is a Folio 405 or USO.
I think it was USO5 or something. Yeah.
So I think that we found like the Denicon, the Y yeast.
Mm-hmm. The 1450.
Yeah, that it was almost, it adds almost a sweet spice.
Yeah.
We've said cinnamon, we've said a couple other things, but it adds almost a sweet spice. But
it's like a cobbler or a apple pie type flavor profile, and it really mellows
it out a bit.
Yeah, it mellows. It takes away any of the hoppy citrusiness that you can find sometimes, and
I will say we've found with PicoBrew, one, we tend to get more wheat-forward beers.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's the recipes or if it's how we are fermenting and how we are racking and how we are or are not cold crashing or filtering. It could be both.
Yeah, I think cold crashing is a huge key to this because my Stingray IPA, again, we compared side by side. That one cold crashed for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Super crisp tasting. It was really clear coming out of the
and it didn't
keg.
have an overwhelmingly wheat or malt forward presence.
No,
it was still that was a great beer.
Yeah, this is almost like a wit beer or a Hefeweizen kind of little bit on the cerealness that you get out of it,
but without the sweet.
Yeah, but without the sweet,
without
the
sweet
coriander
that I like.
Yeah.
That comes in those. I do like that sweet. This is that, but with bitter instead of sweet, which is right up some people's alleys.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't go right up my alley, but it's some, there are people who are going to be, oh yeah, that's exactly what I like.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good. And I think that as we explore with the PicoBrew, it'll be interesting. I'm going to try doing some more cold crashing. I might even try either some of the cleaning tabs or gelatin at some point.
Yeah.
And just basically rack into two vessels, do one where I cold crash filter, do all that other stuff, and do the other one just straight up.
Yep.
And see if I'm getting a difference in how the beer tastes, because I'm not sure how much that's adding to that flavor.
Yeah, I think it adds a little bit. How much I think is going to be revealed if you go through and do something like that. So I think it'll be good
other
practice.
Side of the spectrum, I'll say that the beers we get out of the PicoBrew, I think we've discussed, are much more rounder, smoother, and while we said they're not as sharp, they're also not as sharp. So as we compare them, we did the what's one of the first ones we ever did? We didn't even do a recording on it.
Dragon's Tooth Stout.
Yeah, Dragon's Tooth Stout. We actually compared it with a bottle of Dragon's Tooth Stout. And we found that we liked the PicoBrew version that you'd done up. It's like your second beer you'd ever done or something.
Yeah, it was the second one I ever did.
And we said we liked that better. As when we started talking about doing a podcast, we're like, this is really good. We liked it better than the bottle version we were comparing side by side with.
Flavors were really, really close. We noticed that the bottle was very sharp in comparison and lacked a little bit of that rounding out that you get from the PicoBrew. And so I don't know if that's a freshness deal or if that's just has to do with the fact that the PicoBrew has a little bit more sediment, maybe a little bit more left in suspension in the fluid. We're not filtering it, but enjoyable, really enjoyable.
I want to try it on the Dead Guy Ale too, because I've had Dead Guy Ale from the store, same thing, sharper in all the flavors, but I really loved the PicoBrew version, and I have a new one, so we're going to get a try. I have both the Dragon's Tooth Stout and a Dead Guy Ale.
Oh, so exciting.
We're going to have a couple episodes coming up where we do side-by-sides, and we compare them to the store-bought version. Because I've had Dead Guy Ale from I had a fantasy football draft a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Got it. I had it on tap, and I'm like, I never find this on tap. Give it to me. So I had some of that, and it was more round, less sharp in both the profile and
the bubbles, like the CO2s.
The bubbles. Yes.
Yeah. And draft is usually a little bit mellower than a bottle, and
I really enjoyed it. Like I'll buy the bottles occasionally, but I don't really go to them. But I love the PicoBrew version. I love the draft version. So we'll do a couple side by sides coming up. Getting back to this one, we've talked about our aroma. We've talked about our taste. What else do you think about the beer? Do you want to throw a number at it? You want me to throw a number at it?
I'm going to throw two numbers at it.
Whoa, you can't throw two numbers at
numbers.
it?
This is why.
This is what I wish I would have made.
No. It has nothing to do with that. So one of the things that I think if we're judging the beer on its style, like how close it got to the style that it's supposed to be.
It nailed the style, I think.
I think it nailed the
It's
style.
a four plus on the style.
Yeah, and that's that's a little bit different than how I think it is. So the way I think it is, I like it. It's a
Oh yeah.
but it's not really like
she's
it's
pretty
not
if you're into that.
it's not my first choice of beer. So I'm at like a 3.5. I could be talked into a 3.75. But from a style perspective, it's an American IPA. The hop flavor is supposed to be medium to very high. It should reflect an American or New World hop characters such as citrus, floral, pine, a little bit resinous,
It's pine and
spicy,
resin
tropical fruit. So
with these hops.
yeah, so I think we get a little bit of that. I think it's about a 4 with regard to where it hits
Or hits the style.
the style, but I'm also kind of wondering, how is that compared to the fact that we kind of keep referring to it as like a traditional IPA, right? These 97, 98, 99, 2000 style IPAs as opposed to what's coming out now. You've got the juicy IPAs, you've got the lush IPAs. You've got a lot of these hazy
Bodhi,
ones,
which I love. Bodhi Zaffa from
yeah, and
Georgetown.
they've got
I
the
love Voodoo
mosaic
Ranger.
and
I
the
love your phone
galaxy.
falling.
Yep, don't. Well, they've got the mosaic and the galaxy type hops. I did just drop my phone on the ground. Awesome.
But yeah, I love those. The Citra, the Eldorado, the Mosaic, the Galaxy, all these. And those for me, that's the IPAs that are drawing me in. This is not, for me, this is I'm going to give it 3.25 because I think it's a good beer and I've had a few of them. And I think we've done, high five for holding it together. It's I think we've somehow kept from running off the rails almost all episode.
Yeah.
Not done yet. But so I'm going to give it 3.25 because I think it's something that I've enjoyed drinking, and I keep going back and grabbing more without even thinking of it. It's not, oh God, this is what I have to drink.
Yeah.
It's good. It's just not my IPA, but I gotta rate based on my scale. I would not brew this one for myself.
Okay, but do you agree with the style?
I do.
At about
like I said,
4.
It's about a 4 on the style.
Okay, yeah. So I think if you really like the style, you're going to be 4.5, 5 stars on this potentially, probably 4.5 to 5. I just said that. I mean 4 to 4.5.
Okay, that sounds better to me.
I mean 4
if this
to
is kind of your thing. It's going to be the best beer you've ever had. No, is that where you're going? Really?
Okay, we were holding it together. No, I think it's about a 4 to a 4.5 if this is your style of beer. If it's not your style of beer, then you're going to be where I'm at. All right. So, couple of quick announcements. So,
yeah, you missed all my Christopher Walken and Walter Matthau impressions.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
I think that's why the technology died.
Yeah,
so that no one would have to listen.
Were so bad this time that Max said, "I can't process that.
I don't know what this is." So we have announcements. You ever a Boy Scout? No,
I wasn't.
No, that was our Boy Scout song, man.
Really?
Announcement song.
We'll do it.
Somebody out there. No, moving on.
All right. So our announcement. So as you can tell, we've got some technological challenges. There's some expenses putting this podcast together. We have opened up a Patreon page. And we have opened up a opportunity to be a subscriber or patron in our Podbean account. So I will post those in our links and descriptions when we post this podcast. And we would appreciate it if you could go help us out, throw us $1 a month or something like that, and we can help keep this going.
I'm just finding out about all this.
Or more if you
can. Should we beg? Please.
I don't want to beg. We're going to keep trying to do this.
Have shoes.
We're going to keep trying to do this no matter what, but if you could help us out so we could buy more PicoPaks and or better equipment, or if you could help, get us to a point where we can go do some more events and different things, that would be ideal. Again, better equipment for us or helping offset some of the hosting fees and stuff like that would really help us bring more and better content. And we promise to continue to try and evolve this in a much better way. If you promise to keep listening to us, subscribe, give us a rating. Although, that might be part of the upcoming contest for the tap room / PicoPaks that we're going to be giving away.
We are seriously going to be giving one of these things away, and they are so cool. So keep listening because this is a great way to get a really neat machine that's going to make your beers way cooler than what everybody else is doing. I'm telling you, the first time I got served out of one of these tap rooms, it was, okay, this is way cool. All I've got is this serving keg with a little twisty bread thing that I have to keep replacing.
Yeah. So we've got that coming up. I think the other thing is we've got a lot more episodes coming up. We've got them in the cans.
Many episodes.
We are gonna start releasing, along with each show, we'll put a sous vide recipe in the description that should pair with the beer
so
that
we're
we're
working
reviewing.
with a chef to prepare sous vide recipes that pair with the beers that we are going to be talking about.
And I don't think we're going to be able to cook those up and review those as well, but we'll definitely
takes a
send
little
them
time.
out.
It doesn't, and they normally don't keep well.
Yeah.
It's not like you can pre-plan that a week ahead.
Yeah, and we're on kind of a tight time schedule.
But what's great is you can brew your beer up early, and then you can prep your sous vide that day, because I think a lot of our listeners may not have ever done sous vide in their PicoBrew. And it can. And by the way, great way to get the wife to help back you on buying more cool PicoBrew accessories.
Yes.
If you help start cooking some delicious, we did some steaks. We did like 4 different steaks.
4 steaks.
And it was incredible. We cooked them up, sous vide, threw them on the grill for a little bit of sear at the end. And they were all seasoned up different. And boy, that was a great day.
That was good. So we're going to have more recipes coming up for that. We've got an episode that we're going to be going and recording and doing some video with Mike Brennan on the Pico still.
Going into PicoBrew, doing a video from PicoBrew in one of their lab/tasting areas where we go through how he's using the Pico still to make some amazing beer. Not whiskey, but to make amazing beer, right?
Yeah, and so here's the plan. So I grew some hops on the side of the house.
Woohoo!
I put out some feelers to the Pico brewers locally and said, hey, if you guys want to help me name this and pick out a style, I will name it after both the name you come up with, and we'll brew your style for the best one.
You're a brave
out there.
man.
And we're gonna take that. We're gonna move forward and do this thing for reals. We're going to take the hops off the side of my house. We're going to use those as a fresh hop part of the brew.
Yep.
And then we're going to take some into PicoBrew, and we're going to see what we can do by actually distilling
some hop oils,
some fresh hops from the side of my house. We're going to add those in lieu of the dry hopping.
Yeah. Because you don't have time to go dry some hops.
No, and we're gonna video
and
all
you
of this.
don't just take hops off the vine and dump them in your beer to dry hop. That's
not
how
the dry
hopping works.
That would be
folks.
wet hopping.
That would be wet hopping, which is also a thing, but that's not what you want to do to get that aroma and flavor that you'd be searching for with your dry hops, right?
Yeah, that's actually more akin to what we're going to do when I'm brewing the beer. I'm going to pick a whole bunch of the hops that I have. I'm going to put them in a bag, and then I'm going to put them in the brew keg during the brew process on the PicoBrew.
But that adds bittering, that adds aroma.
Mm-hmm.
But that's happening early in the brew process. It's not adding all that stuff at the end that you do with the dry hop.
Yeah.
That makes it explode in your mouth. So we're going to do that. But that's what the hop oils are for, right?
That's what the hop oils are for.
That's where you can take your hop oils and you can turn your Budweiser into an IPA.
And to a Budweiser.
Holy moly. Okay, that was off the cuff. I don't know whether to applaud that or shame it. It's right. It's straddling the line there.
How about we just move on and close this podcast down and see if we can go record another one?
You know what I'm excited about?
What?
We just got through an entire podcast without our machine freezing.
I know.
Cheers to that.
Took a half an hour to get here, but hey.
Thanks for listening, folks.
Yeah. Have a great weekend.
Pico Dudes
out. You've reached the end of another episode of the Pico Dudes podcast. Connect with us at picodudes.com, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And if you enjoyed our show, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts, but mostly iTunes. Also, if you want a code that will help give you some discounts off of the PicoBrew equipment, Z150D equals $150 off of the Z Series. Pro, PRO 125D gives you $125 off of the Pico Pro. And C75D gets you $75 off of your purchase of a Pico C. We hope you enjoy listening. Look forward to hearing from you. Pico Dudes out.